Greetings, Benjamin J from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, here's that Santa Fe 1095 with its new motor, and it is for all intent and purpose finished. Now, it's far from perfect. There's no doubt about that. I still have to add the coupler. I haven't added the coupler yet. But the motor is in it and running. Now, I've modified the rear wheels, as you see. I've ground them down substantially to give me some room inside this shell. I've cut the bolt off and added a nut to it. I'll be adding a nylock nut, very likely. Anyway, it's up and running. It was a great way to spend a Saturday evening. It took about, I don't know, a couple hours to do this, I guess. And the original motor was just absolutely shot. There was no way to repair it. The steel was so badly rusted, it was literally turning to powder. Anyway, I had the shell with no motor to put in it. So I modified this standard double reduction motor and mounted it in this shell. Like I said, it's far from perfect, but it's running. That's the neat thing about it. Anyway, I've got it on the third rail pulling 10 Lionel cars. It's actually running quite well. Let's take this around. As you see, now it's far from perfect, but it's running really well. As you see. Pulling 10 Lionel cars with no problem. I haven't added the traction tire yet. But anyway, it was a great way to make use of an old motor that I had. So modified those rear wheels, found a way to mount it in this shell, and it's up and running. Now, if I put the covers over those rear wheels, it would actually look quite good. But with the this motor, there's no way to mount them because there's nothing to mount them to. Now on the front truck, as you can see, these covers are mounted to the back of the truck. This motor is much, much smaller, so there's nothing to mount those covers to. If I could mount them, this would actually look like an original locomotive. You'd never know there was a different motor in there. Like I said, I really had to modify those wheels, as you can see. I really had to grind them down. But it worked. It was a great way to make use of an old shell and an old motor. All I have to do now is wire up a headlight, add a tab and slot coupler to the rear, and it is finished. Far from perfect, no doubt, but it runs, it works, it's pulling a consist with no problem at all, and it was free. Hard to beat that combination. As you see, it runs just absolutely perfectly. You put a headlight in that, it actually wouldn't be a bad looking locomotive. It actually runs quite well. So a great way to spend a couple hours on a Saturday night. Got it up and running. Like I said, I got a full refund on this today, so it was free. So I figured I would go ahead and do an experiment to see if I could find a way to power it, and this is the result. A running 1095. Far from perfect, or original for that matter, but it is running. That's the important thing. And it's pulling a consist with no problem at all. So I will mount the tab and slot coupler on the back, get the headlight wired, and a new locomotive. So it was a great experiment. It worked. Like I said, far from perfect and far from original. But it's running. That's the important thing. So just a quick follow-up video. A really, really simple way to modify a standard Marx double reduction motor to mount it in this Santa Fe shell. So we will see how this goes. I'll run it for a day or so. I don't anticipate any problems with it. It works. And it doesn't look bad. Like I said, if there was a way to mount the cover over those rear wheels, you'd never know this didn't have an original motor in it. I chopped that bolt off, as you can see, and it doesn't look bad. But again, the important thing is it's running and it's pulling a consist. The best thing about it, of course, is the fact that it was free. I got a full refund on this today, so I figured I had nothing to lose by doing this experiment. It surely did work. Far from perfect, like I said, but it's up and running. So it was a fun project, gave me something to do. So this thing is still really, really rusty on the inside. So I'm going to try to get this screw out so I can get to that headlight bracket. And I'll get that out, put some more wires on it, or put some new wires on it, and wire it to the motor. Once I get the headlight installed and the tab and slot coupler installed, it won't be a bad locomotive. Completely incorrect, different motor, but it's running. That's the neat thing. And I had the fun of working on it. So just a follow-up video. A 1095 Santa Fe with a standard double reduction motor mounted in it that is up and running. And actually running really well. Pulling 10 Lionel cars with no problem at all. I add the traction tire, it'll probably pull twice this. So anyway, just wanted to do a follow-up video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.